Good afternoon. Welcome to the tea table. I am so happy you have joined me today. And today is Thanksgiving. Happy blessed Thanksgiving to all of you faithful friends on the tea table. I know many of you are going to family or having family in or being with good friends. If you live in a faraway place or are in a foreign country, often you will go with a host family. I've done that before. It's very special. Well, this year Thanksgiving falls so late in November that literally the next day, of course, is Black Friday, but then we go immediately into December. And so I know the transition is always quick, but this year it feels especially quick. And it seems that people are trying to celebrate Christmas already. And I like to make sure we have a good, solid celebration of Thanksgiving. And that's why last week I devoted my tea table talk to our Pilgrim Fathers. And if you missed that, you can go back. This week I want to transition from Thanksgiving to the beginning of Advent. And well, if you haven't gotten your tea yet, please pause and get your tea, and I'll be waiting for you. Well, I debated what kind of a tea set am I going to have today, and I hope it's all right, but I'm doing a little transition. I have this darling little Father Christmas teapot, and believe it or not, next week is St. Nicholas Day. And then we'll quickly move on. Well, first, Sunday is first Sunday in Advent. And then we'll have St. Nicholas Day on the 6th. Then we move on to St. Lucia Day on the 13th. And then we have the 2nd, 3rd, 4th Sunday in Advent. And so many celebrations. Well, next week I want to talk about St. Lucia Day, and so that's why I'm going to just touch upon St. Nicholas Day, and I want to talk about Thanksgiving. I am so excited. I am going over. We've had a family tradition in our home for years, since my husband and I first announced our engagement in November, Thanksgiving of 1977. And it was a gathering of my husband's family in Port Orchard with Granny, who's now gone on to be with the Lord, and my parents and my brothers and all of Michael's brother and sister, and all our whole families were there. And we made it a special event to announce. And I remember my husband had literally given me my ring the night before. So Thanksgiving is kind of our romantic time also. Well, the family, everyone grows up and moves away, and part of Michael's main family, his sister, moved away. So she was hosting it then. Well, we haven't had a Thanksgiving gathering with all the family for a long time on that side. And this year we are having it in Port Orchard, and she's flying in with her husband and my kids, actually. It's the kids and their cousins that really made this happen. They said, we miss our big family Thanksgivings, and they organized it. And so my niece Corey is hosting, and all of the next generation is taking the baton. Isn't that fantastic? And I woke up this morning and I said, this is a glorious day. I'm having my coffee. I have no pressure to cook. I've cooked many, many, many Thanksgivings, and it's so nice to go and be a guest. But of course, I'm bringing something with me, and I'm also bringing it to the tea table. And this is my Scandinavian Skorpa that has cardamom, almond, vanilla, walnuts, butter, of course, butter, sugar, eggs, and flour, the Norwegian foundation for cookies. And I'll show you, I'm not going to open it up, but I'll show you, I'm bringing this tray of Skorpa, and I have these beautiful napkins I'm bringing along as a little gift to help out, and some beautiful little plates. And, you know, I'll just show you the tray I'm taking it on, because it's a special Norwegian tray, and it's one of these beautiful Norwegian trays. If you can see, the flowers are all covered up, but it is all flowers, and I'm bringing this wonderful tray of Skorpa. It smells so good. My whole house smells like cardamom and almond, the best flavors for Christmas and all celebrations. I like to use a lot of cardamom in my baking. So this is what I'm going to present. And it will be very, very special day while I'm waiting for my husband. And that's why I thought I'm going to do a tea talk, even though I thought of doing it tomorrow. But I think I'm going to keep to my Thursday. My husband had to work a little bit this morning, so he's going to come back here in about an hour, and we're going to go together over there. So, okay, I think we better pour out. And this pot is so darling. Look how cute it is. It's little Father Christmas. And he might come back on the tea table again before Christmas is over. I don't know. Never had one this cute. And I have a little baby cup. This is a little German cup. And on it, it says Berchtesgaden. It's got a symbol of Berchtesgaden. And Berchtesgaden, I was in Berchtesgaden in November. I've been there twice. And you know, both times I was there in the snow in November. It's the beautiful part of the Alps. It's southern Germany, and it's called Bern, which is just the beautiful part of Germany. And then you get on the train, and the next stop is going to be Innsbruck, Austria, and then you go on to Salzburg. I'll do a talk another time on Berchtesgaden, but to keep it simple, that is where Hitler had his high-in-the-sky retreat center, and I stayed at the General Walker Hotel. At that time had been originally the officers of it's because it's the most beautiful area. He built this beautiful hotel, and when the Americans won the war, they took that hotel and turned it into a Christian retreat center. And that's what I was there. We had a friend in the military that invited us, and we were guests, my friend and I. And we got to have a week there in this beautiful place. And it was the most edifying experience. And to think that, you see, God can restore really terrible things and make them beautiful. And that's what our lives can be like. Sometimes we have a bump on the road that's really hard, but if we give it to God, He can turn it around, and He can restore and bring something beautiful out of something really difficult. Yes, He can. Oh, this is so cozy to be with you today in this little intimate Thanksgiving morning. I'm just really had a big week, a good week. And it started actually last Saturday. I well, I taught my class, my missiology class, and then I went to a memorial service, actually a most glorious, I would call it a royal funeral for a royal priest, Father Don Maddox. He was a very special friend of our family's, and he passed on in his late 80s. He was an amazing person, and we knew him very well in Shelton. We lived there for 20 years, and he was a true parish priest. He was everything you would imagine. My daughter Victoria said, "Mom, Father Don is the priest out of Les Miserables." Now, is that a compliment? And then my son Samuel, he came back from Iraq from 2 tours of duty, and we all went to Christmas Eve service, and he was officiating. And my son Samuel said, "Father Don, he knows how to ascend." And I thought, whoa, that is so deep. What is more important than a minister to be able to help you connect to God? And Father Don was the parish priest at St. David's of Wales in Shelton, and then he was a church planter, and he founded the little Episcopal church in Hoodsport, and he founded the church in Tahuya over across from the Hood Canal. He also founded St. Hugh's out in Allen, a darling little white church. And I remember he once told me, he said that on a Christmas Eve, because we were talking about doing Christmas Eve services and how sometimes complicated they are, because I think our family was singing it too. He said, well, don't worry, that's not the biggest. He had gone in the ice and snow, and he had traveled from all the way from Hoodsport, did a service, all the way out to Tahuya, did a service, all the way to Allen on the icy, snowy roads, did a service, ended up at St. David's in Shelton doing the midnight mass. Yes, it's so amazing, so special, and a man that really taught us so much. He was very liturgical, and he taught us much about the church year. Really, much of what I share on this tea table, I learned from Father Don. And he was kind and good. He seemed to always show up. He was that special minister that he was there when you needed him. I remember when my father was passing away, he was visiting us at Easter, and my father passed away in Shelton, and Father Don appeared out of nowhere. He didn't know I didn't call him, came to the hospital. He was there in the hospital and gave him the most glorious send-off, reciting the Easter liturgy. It couldn't have been greater and more comforting to my sister and I and our whole family. So I want to give a tribute to a great man that really was the power of one. And last Sunday, we were sitting after church, after dinner. Some of my children were here, and we were talking about the most tremendous experience. They were all part of A Christmas Carol, the famous Charles Dickens play that Father Don and his wife Caroline put on. Caroline took the script, or wrote the script from the book. The players, my kids were saying, the players in that play were so perfectly casted, better than any movie we've ever seen. And we were the musicians on the side playing. And that was such a beautiful Christmas experience that my children to this day treasure. A small town has options and experiences that you don't have in a big city. And also, I want to say that Father Don used to do a Bible school, and he would ask me to do the music for the children. And he did it all. He had the children baking bread, he had them making jam, and then he did the most beautiful Bible school on the church year. And each day was a different, like started Advent, went to Easter, and then went on. And we did a lot of music in that church. I met beautiful people there, some of my best friends doing music there. And then my daughter Victoria said, you know, Mom, Father Don, he allowed her, and I think my friend Robin, used that church to teach violin lessons. And then she was only like 16, and she had about 10 students, and she held a recital in that church. And it was always, with Father Don, all things were possible. It's always open. Really appreciate his ministry through the years, and it was a packed, the cathedral at St. John's Episcopal Olympia was packed, and every person there had been deeply touched by this faithful servant of God, Father Don Maddox. So I wanted to give him a tribute. And if anyone was British and loved tea, it was Father Don. And the church was named St. David's of Wales, and they have a sister church in Wales that the minister would come and visit. So if you're ever in Shelton, at least drive by St. David's. It's a darling parish, well kept, beautiful gardens, and an inspiring, wonderful. And by the way, I must say, my children all play violin or cello. They play acoustic instruments. And my son Samuel, well, the brothers, they did their first recording in that church. And they all loved to play there because the acoustics, it was all wood floors and wood all around, and the acoustics were just the best for playing stringed instruments. And a lovely pipe organ played by dear Jana. And you know, I love small towns. I love small churches. And there are always people that are behind them and have such an important role to play in the community. So that is what Thanksgiving really is, to give thanks to God for our friends, our family, our community, our experiences, that God has been so good to us. Yes, it has been a very, very special week. I felt very privileged to be at that service, and the hymns that were sung. We all walked out to the great Welsh hymn, Guide Me Now, Thou Great Jehovah, with the pipe organ, just fabulous. Well, I hope all of you have had a good week, and I know that you're thinking about Christmas and your families and your friends. And to me, the most important thing that I really find benefits and gives me so much strength is good music at Christmas, and being able to attend like a Messiah, a live Messiah with a full orchestra is so uplifting. And or to participate in one. If you can do that, that's even better. I have many friends, and my kids have played Messiahs many times, and it's just so rich. And if you can find one, the Bach Christmas Cantata, and if you can't find a live one, you can go online, there are many, and you could get the words, because usually it's done in German, and get the words to the Bach Christmas Cantata. It is so deep and so strengthening. And I do believe filling up with Christmas, filling up with God and life and beauty is so important at Christmas. I will tell you, this last week, I was playing the piano at a retirement center, and I thought, well, I'm not going to play Christmas yet. So I brought all my other music, and I had Christmas there too in my bag. Well, I was playing other music, and then the people said, can't we have some Christmas? So I started playing Christmas. And it was so deep. And usually during Christmas, there'll be a special time when you say, oh, I found Christmas this year. And you never know where you're going to find it. It's very interesting. Well, we haven't even had Thanksgiving. We're having it now. And I found Christmas this week. I was sitting there playing and I felt like crying. I thought, God, I am so privileged to be able to play music. And these beautiful people, it was the people, they were receiving it. And the one man had just been there 6 days. He had a stroke. And he said, this is the most wonderful thing, the music. And he was talking about how his mother always played the piano and the pipe organ, and she would play on Christmas Eve, and their whole family would stand around and sing all of the carols. And he was being reminded of this, and he thanked me so much. It was absolutely so deep. And I left there with such gratefulness to God to just have an opportunity to give his love through music. For you musicians, it's a privilege. It is our privilege to do this. It is the greatest honor to be able to give God's love through music. So this has been a special week, and I was cleaning through my books. This came to the top, and I thought, I'm going to show you. It's called This Is My Wish for You. In it is just a beautiful, there is the most beautiful art in this book. And it was compiled by someone with so much love. And there's poetry and different famous paintings. And this one painting at the end, I just think is so special. And it's, This Is My Wish for You at the end, it says, and it's the girl playing the flute. And I have a dear friend named Jamie, and many of you know her. She plays the flute. She plays all over Seattle. She's faithful, and she plays in church, and her church is very large, and it goes on the radio, so it's going all over. And she plays, and she plays. And I thought, this is so beautiful. The girl with the flute, faithful, playing, bringing music, bringing God's love. The power of one again. Just like Father Don, or you have the power of one. If you bake cookies, if you give someone a smile, give them a good word. Give them, if you can, a cup of tea. Invite them in. Just a little tray with a pot, a cup. It's so simple. It's not complicated. It is the little things that bring God's love to our lives. And as we get ready for the first Sunday in Advent, please try to go to church every Sunday in December. There is so much to know about Advent. I've talked about it before. It's 4 Sundays. They represent love, joy, peace, and hope. They're the 4 candles, Christ's candle in the middle. And we will have that on one of our tea talks. But it represents the 4 Gospels. And 4 is such a beautiful, perfect number. 4 is a number that's used so much in biblical. It's the square. And it makes sense, and it's logical. It's orderly. You know, in the wilderness, when they had the camp, the children of Israel, they had 4 tribes on well, of course they had in the center, the tabernacle, right? And that was where they worshiped. And then they had 12 tribes, so they had 4 on one side, 4 on the other, 4 in the front, and 4 in the back. And it all made sense. And I love square for a house or for rooms because you get so much out of it. And the temple was square, actually. So when you think of Advent, there's something to learn. There are many readings. You can go on your phone if your church doesn't publish a little book. And in England, they have beautiful priests that will come on and do a reading every day in Advent. Beautiful. So many options to keep our Christmas Christ-centered. is where we want to be. And remember, St. Nicholas, he was a real person, and he was a saint. You know why he was a saint? Because he helped the poor, he helped the children, and that's why the symbolism is bringing gifts and bringing candy. It's St. Nicholas is a person you can study and learn a lot about. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I pray you have a beautiful, happy, wonderful Thanksgiving with your family, your children, and if they're far away, I have children that are way back in Wisconsin, back down in Boise, and one couple in Nevada. So I'm not seeing everyone, but those I'm seeing, I am rejoicing, I'm in person, but the others I'm in touch with through my devices, through my phone and through my texting or through a FaceTime call. We can all stay close, yes. And don't forget friends that maybe don't have a family to be with. Invite them in if it's not too late. Don't let anyone be alone on Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. That way you will get a notification each time I do a tea talk. And then if you want to look back at my channel, every tea talk is on there since I started this in the beginning of COVID in 2021 was my first tea talk. And they're all on there. You can welcome to browse, and then please share with others. And if you liked it, I enjoy a like. It's very nice. And if you have a comment, please feel free to add your comment, because it's amazing the things I have learned from all of you. We can learn from each other. Please feel free and comfortable to do that. Okay, well, God bless. Be safe and have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and then the beginning of Black Friday and first Sunday in Advent. And don't forget your tea. God bless.